Good afternoon. And for my Latino friends, buenas tardes. Hello, my name is Dulce Sherman. I am the owner of Sherman Executive Consulting. I have over 30 years of HR experience in the for-profit, nonprofit, and now in the small business sectors. When I was asked to speak for 7 minutes, I took it to heart, reflecting upon my work and my personal life. And when I paused to think more about this task, I thought, what if I answered this question as if it was my last 7 minutes on earth to speak? How would that change what I said? You're probably thinking, whoa, that's way too heavy for today. It is meant to be heavy, and here's why. You wouldn't know this about me unless you took the time to get to know me. I lost my youngest son 5 years ago to suicide. My son, John, was 20. He was beautiful and radiated joy the minute he would walk into a room. My husband, who is in the audience, is here to support me. It's probably the hardest thing that we have ever experienced as parents. Immediately when I returned from bereavement leave, my job was eliminated. I would go on to lose 3 more relatives, 2 of which were siblings, within the first 5 years, or 5 years from the date. All this loss has got me thinking, what were my last 7 minutes and words with each of them? As an HR leader, I have observed in small businesses that leaders tend to wear multiple hats, including human resources, which I saw as an opportunity. Within that same 5 years, I started my small HR consulting business, and during COVID too, as if I already didn't have enough on my plate to deal with. But it allowed me to navigate my grief. It also changed how I operated as a person, as a leader, and working in HR. But back to the last 7 minutes and what I would say to you. First, I'd be sure to tell the people often that I know, that I come into contact with, that I love them. My family, my friends, coworkers, neighbors, and why is it that love is so hard to say out loud? Second, with every conversation I would have, I would treat it as if it were my last 7 minutes. Now imagine that. What if we could improve how we communicate even the difficult things in a human way? Even when there is pressure as a leader, you still can be kind while clearly communicating expectations. We would probably have less dissatisfied employees, stress, anxiety, or depression in the workplace. But we are not taking the time to communicate the hard stuff, the things that really matter to us as humans. Did you know that 1 in every 5 people is experiencing a mental health condition? Suicides in general have increased by 33% in the last 2 decades. Just 7 minutes, imagine. You could literally be saving a life in your daily conversations and the people you come into contact with. In my 30 years of HR experience, communication and leaders not communicating authentically with their employees has been in the top 3 drivers for employee satisfaction surveys. And it is why I am typically called into organizations to conduct employee investigations. But what if, again, what if we took the very same approach to work specifically with people and called it a 7-minute one-on-one or conversation with employees? We treat it as if it were our last 7 minutes with them, while infusing empathy, compassion in our communication. When you can listen, not judge, and create a sense of belonging, employees will start to believe that they have purpose in their lives. When we show we care about them as humans, Finding out what happened to them before they got to work, you start to build rapport and trust. If someone does not feel like they belong or they don't have a sense of purpose, it puts them at risk of leaving a job. And did you know it also plays a significant role in why people take their lives? As a leader, we all have an opportunity to influence how people think about themselves and what role they play in the world. And with that stigma that's in place, don't be afraid to talk about the things that we need to talk about. Now, how to have those conversations, that's part 2 for me. Contact me after this. As an HR professional, I got to thinking, what if, based on my own example, that I came back to work, lost my job, I could convince leaders to back up their words with policies and mirror compassion and empathy in their cultures. So here is where I work with companies and advise them to reconsider that when they separate an employee, they probably want to consider the date they're going to do it. Any milestone date, birthdays, death, you want to stay away from because you don't want that person to reliving that experience. I also work with them to change the narrative. Instead of calling it bereavement leave, let's call it compassionate leave. Let's ask the employee when they're ready to come back, not the 3 days expecting them to be over their griefs. Our words are only words if our policies and cultures do not reflect empathy and compassion. Policies that consider humanity of people may equate to increased attraction, recruitment, retention, and employee satisfaction. And there are several studies supporting that it also impacts the bottom line. In closing, our world is changing. There are a lot of unknowns right now. Basic needs are at risk. But as leaders, we can create a safe place for them. Our employees are going to look to us to lead in times of uncertainty, to create a sense of purpose and belonging. Are you creating that space in your conversations? As for me, I no longer look for the recognition, the titles. I learned to say no, and my desire to be in the spotlight is focused on saving lives, suicide awareness through the Kim Foundation. I am living my son's legacy of joy, empathy, and compassion through my consulting and in my personal life. Compassion is about invoking action. My call to action to you is, it's your last 7 minutes on earth. What will your conversations sound like? How will you act? How will you behave? It's been a pleasure. Thank you, ICAN and Eileen, for the opportunity today.